A person can get inflammation systemically anywhere in their body, and some people get it in their joints, some people get it in their gut, and some people get it in their brain.
Hello and welcome to the Pacific Channel, where we talk about the law of attraction, how to manifest anything you want, meditation, and more. I'm your host, Steve Doherty, and in this video, we're going to listen to an audio clip where someone asked Dr. Joe Dispenza about Alzheimer's disease. According to Wikipedia, Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative disease that usually starts slowly and progressively worsens. It is the cause of 60 to 70% of cases of dementia. The most common early symptom is difficulty in remembering recent events. As the disease advances, symptoms can include problems with language, disorientation, mood swings, loss of motivation, self-neglect, and behavioral issues. As a person's condition declines, they often withdraw from family and society. Gradually, bodily functions are lost, ultimately leading to death. Although the speed of progression can vary, the typical life expectancy following diagnosis is 3 to 9 years. Now that's all according to Wikipedia. But don't let any of that bother you. Anything can be healed no matter how far it has progressed, despite what all the so-called experts may tell you. There are many examples of people overcoming this and other diseases. So the question presented to Dr. Joe is about how, if your parents get Alzheimer's disease, does that mean you're likely to get it too? And does worrying about it make it even more likely you'll get it? And how does a person avoid getting it? Dr. Joe explains what causes Alzheimer's disease and how basically it is the inflammation of the brain. So if you can cure the inflammation, then you should be able to cure Alzheimer's. Then he talks about 3 components of health and which one of those is the most influential one of your overall health. He's also going to talk about how just because you understand the power of your mind and how to heal yourself, it doesn't mean that you are safe forevermore. If you fall back to your old way of thinking, you can relapse. So just because you learn about how the law of attraction works, or maybe a little bit about quantum physics and how to attract what you want, it's not like a college degree that once you get, you have it forevermore. In other words, you must keep on doing the work. But don't worry too much about that, because once you get the momentum going, it gets easier and easier to stay on track and keep your vibration high. One of the most interesting aspects of all of the work that Dr. Joe does is that he sees all types of people heal themselves. It doesn't matter if the person is super fit or super unfit. It doesn't matter if the person is on the American diet, the vegan diet, or the carnivore diet. It doesn't matter if the person is a couch potato or an athlete. Anyone can heal themselves of anything. That's the power of the mind. Let's listen to Dr. Joe discuss all of this now.
I have a question regarding Alzheimer's disease, because that's a disease obviously that's very tightly connected with the brain. And I was wondering, because once you have the disease, it's really difficult to practice, the meditation and everything. And it's a bit related to what the first caller said, that my mother had Alzheimer's disease, and I'm a little bit worried that, does it concern me as well? And I'm afraid that through being afraid that it will touch me. So maybe you can say something about Alzheimer's disease.
Thank you, Catherine, for your question. I was flying back from a trip. I can't remember what trip it was, but I was on the plane, and I sat next to this guy, and I typically just, do my own thing. And I don't know how we got involved in a conversation, but we just started talking. And we immediately went somehow right to the brain. I don't know how that happened, but we just kind of had a little flurry back and forth. And I said to him, "What do you do?" He said, "I am the president of the American Alzheimer's Association." And I said, wow, I'm interested. And I said, "Can I ask you a simple question?" I said, what is the main reason for Alzheimer's? And he said, why don't you tell me what you think it is? So, there's research that a lot of head trauma sometimes has something to do with it. I went down the list, and I didn't consider the most important one, although I said it indirectly, and that is inflammation. And he said, Alzheimer's is an inflammation of the brain. It's inflamed. Now, the greatest way that we create inflammation is living in stress and living in survival. And if you remember, stress is when your body's knocked out of cadence, when it's knocked out of rhythm, when it's knocked out of normal homeostasis and balance, chemically, physically and emotionally. When it's moving out of its normal state, it compromises energy in the body, and so the adrenal glands just dump all this adrenaline and epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, and these steroids. And those steroids that are created from the adrenal cortex have very anti-inflammatory properties. If you get bit during the fight, it's cortisol that's going to give you the energy, but it's also going to help reduce the pain and inflammation. So the problem is cortical oversecretion tends to weaken the immune system, and a person can get inflammation systemically anywhere in their body. And some people get it in their joints, some people get it in their gut, and some people get it in their brain. And when the brain gets inflamed and it moves out of chemical balance, when it moves out of emotional balance, it'll begin to move out of physical balance, and genes will be signaled and selected and instructed. And those genes then that you have as a person, there may be some genes that you've inherited from your parents that could be more easily selected and instructed because it's closer to your genetic propensities. And so then, if you can get your body physically more balanced and exercise and what's good for the heart is good for the brain, aerobic exercise is essential to break down the connective tissue in your body, and do yoga or whatever it is that you want to whatever it is that you want to do to get your heart and brain circulating more blood. If you get more blood through the brain, which is pretty much a good consumption, it's very small percentage of our body weight, but it takes up 20% of the body's blood flow and energy. So you want to circulate blood through your brain, you're going to get waste out of there, and that's helping your body to get physically balanced. And sleep is a big element as well. Chemically balanced, you do the things that help to reduce inflammation by taking certain vitamins, by changing your diet. For a period of time, some people who get so chemically out of balance, they have to give their immune system a chance to reboot, and they have to remove foods that would take more energy to break down for the body and become a stress to the immune system. That food is actually weakening the person's body. Then it's a good idea to eliminate those foods so the body has a little tolerance and can strengthen its immune system. You're taking all the packs off the camel that has collapsed, and then you can slowly start adding those packs back on the camel once the camel's upright and healthy again. And so sometimes we remove foods that cause inflammation, go into a diet that reduces the amount of inflammation that your body can have. Sometimes that helps the body chemically move into balance with everything to do with vitamins and minerals and herbs and all that stuff that keeps our body in balance. And for certain people, it may be staying on certain medications. But the big thing is the emotional component. That's the tough one, because emotional stress and psychological stress seems to be where we end up with any problem that we have in our life. And if we stay in that state for an extended period of time and we're living by those survival emotions, well, the stress hormones downregulate genes, and they actually do create disease. And so if we understand that from a theoretical standpoint, then we should start paying attention to our response to the conditions in our environment. And it's not that you react, there's nothing wrong with that. The question is, how long are you going to do that for? And learning how to control your emotional reactions and stop and pause for a moment and decide, God, I'm an eternal being, and I got a lot of time to figure this out. And I know this problem seems really important to me right now, and I know that my response is valid and justified, but who is this really hurting? Oh my God, these chemicals are really, really going to affect me. Okay, well, yeah, I could give a reason and I can complain, or I can literally make this moment be an important moment in eternity for me and evolve myself in some way. I think that would be really a great service to yourself, because then your response to that problem isn't weakening the organism, and you're moving your body out of that emotional state. And if the body's in the same emotional state, it's so objective that it's believing in the same environmental condition that's creating that emotional state. So if the event that caused you to feel angry or upset or fearful happened 3 days ago, and you're still feeling the same emotion, your body's still in the event. Your body's still living that reality constantly. So if we could develop the ability to be able to do it when it's the hardest, I think it matters the most, because anything that past that point should get easier. And so if you can keep at least 2 out of those 3 in order, physical balance, chemical balance, and emotional balance, if you can keep 2 out of 3 of those in order, typically the third one comes around. But it's so important to address our emotional responses, because a lot of people, and there's actually been people in this community, have improved or healed from diseases and then started to get the symptoms of the disease back again because they started feeling the same way emotionally. And that's because emotions are a record of the past. Their body's moving back to the past. There should be no challenge in understanding that. It just has to make sense to us. So if you have a proclivity genetically towards cancer, you have a propensity towards Alzheimer's, just because you have the gene for it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have it. And so all the things that we do then in our life then to upregulate the right genes and teach our body emotionally what we want to feel like when we're our parents' age. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that you can imagine yourself at a certain age and feel how you want to feel at that age. And you're doing something really great for your body. You're programming your body into that state. I don't know. I work on that, you know, in my own personal life, how I do want to feel in my future and in my life. And I want to really get good at feeling that to be able to bring it up on command. I think based on the studies that we've been doing, it shows that the body's believing it's beginning to live in that environment. And the nervous system makes a wonderful pharmacy of chemicals that actually support that intention. and you're signaling genes ahead of the environment. And that's your body's in a different world. It's in a different future. I think if we keep doing that enough times, we actually may arrive at that future. So yes, we all have different genetic propensities. And yes, some people actually inherit the same conditions as their parents, maybe because they're responding to the similar conditions in their lives with the same emotional states. Now, you can be your own genetic engineer and actually make a different choice every single day. And I think by doing that, I think that you could have the gene for any health condition. Doesn't mean it has to be activated or signaled in any way. So it's the same principle. It's the same exact thing. We strive to manage our emotions, manage our attention, and manage our energy.
So Alzheimer's is caused by inflammation. Inflammation is caused by stress. Stress is caused by negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are a choice. In other words, you have the choice to think negative thoughts or positive ones. That should give you a good feeling since you have control over your thoughts. And this is why meditation is so important. It gives your brain a break from the negative thinking because you either stop all thinking or you are focused on something else when you follow a guided meditation. Dr. Joe said that there are 3 components to health. health that are important. The physical component, the chemical component, such as what you eat, your vitamins and your diet, and the emotional component. But it is the emotional component that has the most impact. As a matter of fact, it is much more of an influential factor on your health than exercise and diet. As he said, you must learn to control your emotions, and you must get into a good habit of doing it all the time. Dr. Joe said that some of the people in his healing community can heal themselves of something, but then it comes back. That's because they relapsed into the old way of thinking. From the law of attraction perspective, just because you believe in the power of your mind and the law of attraction, it doesn't mean that you're instantly in the safe zone. You must do the work to keep thinking positive thoughts no matter what. Just be easy about all of this. Don't worry about attracting something from your parents or anyone else. Just be good to yourself. Do things that make you happy. Follow your bliss, follow your dreams, and enjoy your life to the fullest. That's the best prescription drug there is for life. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and please share it with your friends and family because this information could be life-changing for them. Life is supposed to be good to you, and it's supposed to be fun. Let go of all worry, fear, and doubt. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay positive.